All solo and ensemble events follow a 5-tiered classification system based on grade level, difficulty of music performed, and the experience or ability level of the student performers. This system allows directors to enter their students in the appropriate group levels based on the criteria for each, as well as allowing students to progress through the different group levels as they develop and mature in their musical and technical abilities. Students that receive a gold rating are encouraged to move up to the next highest level the following year, with the ultimate goal being a gold rating in Group 1. Adjudicators should adjust expectations based on these group levels, and there will be obvious differences in demands of the repertoire being performed and the musicality of the performance as students gain experience. You may be listening to events in several different group levels, so it's very important to be aware of what group level you are judging when assigning points to the rubric. Students entered in Group 5 are students in grades 5 through 9 entering an Issma event for the first time. They will be performing easy music. Group 4 students will be also performing easy music and should be considered beginners, although it may be their second time performing for the district event. We ask that you encourage all students when providing commentary, but for the Group 4 and 5 beginning level singers, it's very important to maintain the appropriate expectations. Group 3 is for intermediate level performers singing medium, easy to medium music. Performances at this level should reflect evidence of early stages of technique and musical maturity. As a past high school teacher, I often registered my 9th grade students who have never attended solo ensemble before or were not taking private lessons in this intermediate level Group 3. At the Group 2 level, students in grades 5 through 12 will be performing medium to medium difficult music. This classification is for advanced student performers that are not quite ready for Group 1 or select to perform literature that is not on the required list for those attempting to go to state. It is, however, perfectly acceptable for Group 2 soloists to sing a piece from the Group 1 list, but they should be expected to meet all the demands of the music. Group 1 level is the highest classification, consisting of the most proficient students in grades 5 through 12 performing difficult music from the corresponding Group 1 required list for that event. Although adjudicators should have higher expectations, those expectations should be appropriate for high school students and not college music majors. Any Group 1 solo or ensemble that earns a gold rating at district level is eligible to perform at State Solo and Ensemble Festival. It's important to note that singers may change their music between district and state, but their piece must still appear on the required list and meet all the demands of the Group 1 advanced literature. At any group level, you can expect the demands of the score to be met by the soloist or ensemble members. Comments should be focused on how well the music is being performed versus belaboring the choice of music that may have been selected by their director or a private voice instructor. You may remember from the general training that you may want to make your comments student-centered, specifically regarding the literature, as more than likely teacher-selected, if not teacher-suggested. Focus on reinforcing the positive aspects of the performance and offer suggestions for improvement for future performances. Repertoire. Since there are no required lists for non-Group 1 performers, teachers should work with students, and when applicable their private instructors, to select music that best fits their technical skills, their musical goals, and their voice type. As mentioned, the Indiana State School Music Association specifies the use of the solo and ensemble required list for all Group 1 events. These lists are published as 6 separate booklets: piano, vocal, strings, brass, woodwind, and percussion on the Issma Incorporated website. The Group 1 vocal required list are a collection of songs which cover various levels of vocal difficulty for both solos and ensembles. The event numbers have been simplified. Vocal solos are combined into one list, and the ensembles are organized by either size of the ensemble or style of the music. For example, barbershop arrangements and madrigal selections. A solo source list and a key to publishers have been provided in the vocal manual to assist finding appropriate repertoire for students, and the recommended supplementary materials reference diction and pronunciation, translations, musical terminology, and the interpretation guidelines to help prepare the performers and their performances. This list identifies advanced literature with a single asterisk besides the title, and operatic arias have been listed by title and character name to help with the selection of literature appropriate for a student's vocal type, range, and current technical abilities. If your judging assignment happens to include evaluating any Group 1 events, your host will provide you a copy of the list prior to judging. Before listening and evaluating the performance, check that the selection being performed is actually on the list and verify that the composer and/or arranger are accurate. Check that the addition or revision used is comparable to the listing. Copyright holders and publishers frequently change. Older editions of the same collection and existing single copies printed by another publisher are permissible as long as it's not a watered-down version. If you have a judge's assistant, use them to help in this process while you're completing your written commentary for the prior performance. Students may sing in the key best suited to their individual vocal abilities without having to be classified as a soprano, alto, tenor, or bass. Any key available in single editions or collections are acceptable. The source list should be considered a reference only. Solos cannot transpose if entered in Group 1, but all other group levels may transpose to accommodate the vocalist range and register. Group 1 musical scores presented to you, the adjudicator, must be in the key the soloist is actually performing. However, scores may be presented in a different key than what the students are actually performing for all other group levels. Issma asks for judges to be provided with a complete original score with all the performed measures numbered. If your measures are not marked, then a penalty of 1 division rating lower should be administered. A self-produced score, handwritten or electronically produced, is acceptable. Online electrically purchased scores have become more and more frequent. Often these e-print scores document copyright compliance by showing the purchaser at the top or bottom of the first page. And many online sources supply a cover page that has purchase rights reference for their downloadable music. Copyright infringement is not a penalty, but should be reported to the host or host school for Issma to follow up with the teacher and the school's administration when necessary. Group 1 selections for both solos and ensembles must be performed in the language of the text as found on the required list, unless otherwise specified. Compositions entitled in English, however, may be sung in a foreign language if printed for optional use. If the singer does perform in the incorrect language, go ahead and adjudicate the performance as usual, change the division from Group 1 to 2, recording the assigned points and the rating earned. The rule states, any Group 1 vocal ensemble that is not performed in the designated language or key presented to the adjudicator will be adjudicated as a Group 2 event. Let's take a look at the various required lists for Group 1 ensembles. These lists now have 3 columns showing the acceptable voicings. Be careful that the ensemble's arrangement presented correctly satisfies the Group 1 requirement for that event. The Dowland Madrigal Come Again Sweet Love can be performed in SSAA, TTBB, or SATB voicings, since all 3 appear on the list for that composer. However, if the ensemble is singing an SSA arrangement of All Ye Who Music Love, Qui La Gaillarde, it must be Stroop's arrangement since only the SATB is listed for Donato's piece arranged by Maynard Klein. The use of the octave in choral singing may require a little more clarification. The rule states that all Group 1 vocal ensembles must select from the voicings indicated in the current Group 1 vocal solo and ensemble manual in the octave presented. Group 2 through Group 5 ensembles may have individual performers sing at the octave as long as the part is being sung by other students. This rule gives directors a little more freedom in selecting music that best features the vocal ranges of the students within the ensemble without reference to gender.